Hello everyone, and today we will be sharing with you information regarding PBL and steps in the PBL. Generally speaking, PBL stands for problem-based learning, and it usually uh, stimulates the active learning. And remember, it's always focused around a clinical scenario or a community-related problem or a scientific problem. So therefore, it is taught in not only in the College of Medicine, Dentistry, Pharmacy, Nursing, or it's usually taught in the College of Engineering or College of Law, you see. So it depends how actively you are involving your student to to deliver a particular curriculum. So what is the message? Message is that PBL is used as educational strategy or as an instructional strategy as well. Like we use in curriculum, most of the time we are dealing how to transfer the information. So mostly we are transferring through the lecturing mode. So uh, in a blended curriculum, we usually use PBL, problem-based learning, which is usually a scenario, and this should always be there in the teacher's toolkit. One advice while using the PBL is that do not implement or do not deliver the whole curriculum through the PBL because it will be time consuming and it will have adverse effects as well. So lecturing is the most acceptable method as well. But for those those information which are usually related to the in the problem solving skills, so that is if being delivered in shape of a scenario, clinical scenario, so that is the most fruitful because we are going to prepare students for the clinical phase. So if I draw for you the whole curriculum phase, so the first phase is the preclinical or basic, preclinical phase, and the second one is the clinical phase, and it depends on the mode of the curriculum as well. For example, for MBBS program in Pakistan, usually first year, second year, third year, and then the clinical phase contain fourth year and the fifth year, and then the student goes to the training house job, you see, and that is a separate story. So a curriculum usually is having two phases: preclinical phase and the clinical phase. And usually in this preclinical phase, we present the students different scenario of a clinical setup. So when they learn something here, then they will be able to apply this in the clinical sciences, in the clinical phase. So we are preparing the students for the clinical sciences, so clinical phase, so that they shall become a true problem solver. Now, having said that, so the crust of PBL is it is an approach to learning, and a curriculum is a blended one of the it should be one of the learning strategy. And in 1989, Walton and Matthews coined the word problem for the first time, so it became the problem-based learning. Generally in the PBL setup, when the student starts, students are given either a case scenario or individual example, you see, and then they start workup in a PBL, and the students arrive at a problem solving when they complete the session first. There are two sessions, session first and then the session 2, you see, and when they reach the problem solving, uh, they gain the problem solving skills while finishing the PBL at the session 2. Then they should be enough competent to apply the knowledge gain in this session of PBL, and so that they can generalize it to other situation. And when they will come across with similar type of scenario in the future or situation, then they will become a true problem solver at the end. This is what a targeted outcome for a PBL is. So uh, how you will make a setup? So if there is a class of 20 students, if the total number of students are 20, then I can divide it by 2. Why 2? That the maximum number in a group shall not be more than 10. Remember, if the lesser the number, the greater it will be, but it shall not be less than 5. Why? Because one will become scribe, the other will become leader, the second student, and the remaining three students will be, so if your group, they will be the member, you see, the members. So usually uh, uh, educationists say that uh, keep it 8 to 10, you see, but it is not hard and fast rules. Remember, tutor is there. He is not an active participant, but he is observing all these things. We will discuss the role of the student and the role of the tutor in a separate lecture. But what will be the setting? If this is a table, you see, so how you are going to drop this, and what will be the activity? So one will be scribe, second will be the leader, and that you will, rest of the student will be like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you see, 9 and 10th. So you will arrange. Remember why I carry it to ninth, because scribe is also a student, and remember, leader is also a student. So tutor is usually at a distance. So what is the message for you in this setting? The tutor gives them a scenario. The student then read it. What are the steps? We will do that later on. But the most important thing is that tutors must regulate and keep the students on the target of the PBL. So there are two processes of PBL. One is the Harvard Medical School methods, which contains 6 steps, and the other is the Masquerade Medical School method, which contains 7 steps. And for easy, I just compared these two methods. You can read this, and I will read. We have adopted in our college this Masquerade Medical School model, so it has 7 steps. So let me discuss these steps one by one. Remember, it is in session first, and you have to identify and clarify the unfamiliar term in a particular scenario. They will give you a scenario, and you will read it, and every student will read it, a part of this, and you have to identify and clarify. The leader will guide all the scenario, and every student which is a member of the PBL shall be actively participating. Scribe shall list those terms which are remain unexplained. Scribe shall not write all and everything. It will become very difficult for him. So unexplained terminology shall be recorded. In step 2, you have to define the problem being presented to the student, and remember, problems should be discussed, and different views will come. Once different views are coming, all views shall be considered, but at the end the scribe will record which one, the agreed problems. For example, a scenario is given to a student, to the group of student in the PBL, and they say it is about cholecystitis, you see. So some opinion come that it may be related to the pancreatitis, or the scenario is maybe related to cholecystitis, and they they deduce different clinical problems from that. So one of them will be correct, some of them will be nearby, because pancreas is lying medially in the and the gallbladder is lying in the right, in the right hypochondrium. So you see, uh, the agreed problems will be listed by the scribe there. Now what will happen in the step 3? Discuss the problems, and you have to do the brainstorming session suggesting possible explanation based on the prior knowledge as well. You have to identify the areas of incomplete knowledge. So if a case of cholecystitis is in front of the student, then what you want to teach them? You want to teach them the in the basic, you are in the basic sciences, remember. You want to teach them the anatomy of gallbladder, or the complete hepatobiliary tract, or as the case may be. So the scribe shall record all discussion. This is very important, and you must have a prior knowledge of The problem is that in certain cases, in the first year, when the students are there, they do not have sufficient prior knowledge. What to do in this particular scenario? The tutor will tell them, okay, open your gadgets and go to Google these particular terminologies, and the tutor role will be very critical, because at that time, when you are in session first, remember we are still in session first, and this is a tutorial process, so it is a learning process as well. So the tutor must guide them to be on the track of the PBL. This is critical point. And since step 4, you see, you have to review the step 2 and step 3, then rearrange all things, points being raised, being presented on the table, and then the scribe organizes the all explanation, and sometimes he may restructures if necessary, but this is, he may take input from the tutor as well. In step 5 of the session first of the PBL, you have to formulate the learning objective, because you determine the gaps in knowledge. Which knowledge? The prior knowledge and the knowledge to be required. So prior knowledge regarding a particular scenario, a particular topic, and the new knowledge that you want to record, you want to know, you want to add this particular new knowledge. So based on that, you will formulate the learning objective. Remember, there should be a consensus on the learning objective, and the tutor role again is very important. He will see that what the student had reached to that particular problem is actually reaching that particular target which was settled for the student during the drafting the curriculum. So formulate learning objectives, and a consensus from the group is very important in the PBL, and the tutor must ensure that these objectives are SMART. SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, and timetable. For framing objectives, learning objectives to be SMART, I have a separate video and you can see that. Now the sixth step is, it's a very called the private steps, and in this private step the students go, for example, you do this on Sunday. On Sunday, the session first is written in the timetable. And on Thursday, for example, in the same week, the session 2 is there. So in between days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you see, these 3 days the student is exposed to lecturing in the college. Lecturing is there. The student may go for self-directed learning. The student may go and make a group discussion, or he himself just go and sit in the library and do private study. So this stage is very important, because in session first the learning objectives are framed, and the student is going to perform to correct all to finish the task being assigned in shape of learning objective. Keep in mind, this is the most important point, that all students should gather the information related to each learning objective. It doesn't mean that students are sitting in a group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, as there is a group of 10 students, and one student do the objective first, the second student will do objective 2, and the fifth student will do the objective number 3, and at the end the group leader take it and club it. No, this is not permissible. All students must do this, otherwise the flavor of the PBL will not be entertained. So once they finish their objective in the private study, they go to session 2, and session 2 again on the Thursday they will sit for at least 2 hours, and the group share the result of their private study. Then they will identify their learning resources. They will give proper citation that I am going to, for example, students are sitting in this row, you see 10 students are there, So every student will present their work done. So on objective number first, one student present. If there is some addition required, the other student will add on, and the third student and the fourth student till all students add on and finish the particular objective. Then then the next objective is being posed kind by the leader, and the leader may ask another one, and who will be the volunteer? Ask voluntarily. Remember, and if a students make what you can say preferences for a particular objective, that I will present objective number 2, and the other students say I will present objective number 3. So keep in mind the student has not worked because they have prepared that particular single objective about which he or she is asking for, and this is a devastating effect in PBL. So every student must prepare each objective, and a leader must be guided. That leader may ask anyone to go ahead for the objective number 2 or 3 or 4. This is very critical point. Usually students are very clever and they want what you say very easiness, and this easiness is going to kill their active learning process. So when they share their results, they must give citation that I am going to share about the the chemical composition of bile. For example, if the objective was to enumerate or list the chemical composition of bile being produced inside the body in the hepatobiliary tract, you see. So if that was a case of cholecystitis, and they set an objective just to know the bile composition and then the obstruction, and all, it depends how the objective was set. So citation is very important. When a student is going to present about the chemical composition, he will say I am Mr. So and so and going to present the objective number 2, which was framed as to enlist or the chemical composition of 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 bile, and I'm sharing all these points from a textbook of medical biochemistry by Harper or whatever, Western Third or whatever the book is. So citation is very important. This will make them practical when once they are making discussion. And remember, tutor checks the learning as well at the end once they solve the problem, and if the problem is solved in amicably in a very good way, so he will assess at the end. And this formative assessment, he may ask, he may pose a similar type of mini scenario, or he may give a set of multiple choice questions at the end. Formative assessment, we call it formative assessment. But remember, better is to with the mild changes bring similar type of mini case scenario, because that will make your student practical, and this is very important. So in nutshell, if somebody in summary, you see PBL is delivered in session first and in session 2, and in session first you identify and clarify the unfamiliar terms in a scenario, and the scribe records all these things, define the problems to be discussed, and students have a different view or different issue, but that must be must be focused on the agreed problem and discuss the problem. This is, remember, this brainstorming session is very important, especially session 2 and session 3. And in step 4 you review step 2 and 3, and you rearrange sometime if it is required with the consensus of your tutor as well, and you at the end you formulate the learning objective, and you do the private study as we discussed. And once you come in the session 2, then you solve the problem and you become a problem solver. Congrats. And that problem, once you solve, it will be very easy for you to extrapolate similar type of knowledge once you come across. But remember, do not bypass any step, because this will adversely affect the learning process. Thank you very much. If you have any query, you can just put a comment. Thank you very much.